I just want to give you guys an advice on Monday the 20th. October 20th is a strategically cautionary day in Nigeria because that was the day of the NSARS protest that got bloody and got violent, and everywhere was burned down in Lagos, Abuja. People were killed in many parts of the country. So the Nigerian army, the DSS, and the Nigerian police are always at heightened alert. This Monday, Omoyele Sowore is holding a protest, a march to Abuja, okay, for people to protest against the government on the Nnamdi Kanu detention for almost 10 years. Now, when Kanu was initially arrested, when he landed in Lagos in 2016, you guys can remember vividly that he was locked up and then he was later released. However, when Kanu was released, Kanu had a lot of different rallies. I mean, crowds everywhere, and Buhari got scared. Then at one point, Buhari went to London for treatment. Kanu told the world that he was dead and he died there, and the rest is history. Buhari is dead. However, Buhari was not the one really directly running the government. Okay, it's the cabal in Daura. Now, why am I telling you all this? I need to tell you the background because in 2016, many of you were in secondary school. You were not part of the conversation. You were 14 or 15 or even 16. 10 years later, you're now 26, 25, and you want to run and march to Asarok with Sowore. Showore's protest, or peaceful protest as he calls it, is not about Nnamdi Kanu. Okay, it's an anti-government protest, just like the one you did in 2023, or was it 2024? It's bad governance protest. That's what it is. And this is how the NSARS one started. Okay, the people that really created the NSARS wanted to end that whole unit of the Nigerian police, and that was Segun Awusoya. And at that time, Segun Awusoya and I were on opposite sides of the coin, and later on I joined them in the NSARS. I was the head of Reform SARS. You can't reform SARS. So when we finished, the police had an agreement with us. We signed 5 for 5. Segun did all the work. And then some 6 feminist girls just hijacked the whole thing and carried it on the street and turned it into anti-government protests. It wasn't about SARS. If you went to end SARS, Lekki Tollgate, and you were out there protesting, you were doing copycat stuff. It was nothing about SARS, okay? We had already signed an agreement with the police, and they ended up burning down Lagos. When I was telling you that these girls were raising money and they were living lavishly and all, you were abusing me, right? Later on, Nigerians started abusing those girls, calling them scammers, thieves, everything. They had you sitting at Lekki Toll Gate. Okay, many of you were injured when the police opened fire. There was no massacre. I've done a lot of podcasts about that. Okay, 3 people died. They opened fire. There were many injuries. And then the people that started fighting in Fagba on the railroad tracks, a lot of them died over there. I went there and I counted 50 bodies with flies, and I was wearing 2 masks. Okay, I did an investigation called IJ Lekki Massacre. Okay, you can go to Twitter, X, and search that hashtag, IJ Lekki Tollgate Massacre, or whatever. You'll see all my work there. I don't play around. I just tell you how it is. It is what it is. So this Monday protest is an anti-government protest. It's nothing about Nnamdi Kanu. Because number one, Nnamdi Kanu was not arrested in the Tinubu regime. He was arrested in the Buhari regime. There is no Tinubu regime. The only thing that is a Buhari regime. Tinubu was loyal to Buhari, never to release Kanu. And the people running Buhari, they're in Daura Katsina, according to my dad, you know? And at the end of the day, the Daura people are still running Tinubu as well. There is no regime. There's only a Daura regime. Nigeria is never going to be free until there's a revolution. Madagascar is finally free. They have a revolution over there. The AU has suspended their country. The military has been sworn in. Look at how things are changing. No one's saying the military is going to be better than the civilian or democratic government. What exactly is democracy? There is no democracy in Africa. You should know that by now. If there was democracy in Africa, I'll be in my country. I'll be working as a journalist. They'll be taking my work, seriously. But you, the people, are part of the problem. We already know what's going to happen on Monday, okay? So if you are 16 years old in 2016, 14 or 15 or 13, don't go out. Stay in your house, okay? As I'm speaking now, the police, the DSS, and the army, they're planning mass arrests. Whether you do anything or not, they're going to arrest all of you that showed up there. I'm telling you, Black Marias, they're washing them and getting ready to bring them out. Let me say something to you. If you've never been inside a Nigerian prison or detained inside a CID, don't go out on Monday, okay? I have been detained. I have been in a prison 3 times. I know how it is. I'm a prosecuted journalist. You're not going to like it in there. And this is a national security issue. They're all planning as I'm talking. Saturday, 18th of October 2025. Ribadu and all of them, all these recycled fools. Okay? And at the end of the day, the Army, the DSS, those guys don't release you until at least 2 years. They arrested a journalist like that. 2 years to 10 years. You see how long they've kept Kanu? It's not about going to the police, getting your bail and all that stuff. It's not that process. This is a national security issue. You're marching to the Aso Rock, home of the president, to ask for Nnamdi Kanu to be released. What they're going to do is they're going to hire all their counter-protesters. Okay, when they hire those counter-protesters, what they call the hijackers, they will come in there. Those ones will come in stones and sticks and start to attack you. Then you start attacking them back. Then people will be injured. There'll be head injuries. There'll be a lot of mess. And then the police will be carting everybody off or even open fire. Why was I crying on the 20th of October 2020 and telling people not to go to Lekki Tollgate? Every evening you went to Lekki Tollgate. You mess up our work, Shegun's work, my work. You mess up our work and then you turn Lekki Tollgate into an amusement park. My neighbors, everybody in my building will go, 9 of them in a minivan. They'll go there to go say they're protesting NSAS. When they get there, they'll be eating fried turkey, chicken, playing table tennis. They turn the place into an amusement park. At night, they'll be having sex under the tents, condoms spewed everywhere in the morning. You know, the only thing they did right there was the vigil they had for the victims of SARS, the real victims that were killed by that elite unit. And that night I said, nobody must go to Lekki Tollgate. Nobody must go. Everybody in my building stayed home. Because if they had gone, they would have been open fired on. Now, I knew that information. That information came from Aso Rock, and it came from somebody in their political party, my father. It's late now, and I told you that because it's late. Okay, he had that credible information. I was crying. My landlord called me. He saw me on YouTube or something crying and said, what's wrong? We just heard what you said. I said, nobody must go to Lekki Tollgate. And what did they do? They opened fire. It is what it is. If you like, go out to Sowore's free Nnamdi Kanu. Because some of you that are going, you don't know what happened in 2016. Oh. Many protesters died in 2016. And at the end of the day, the ones that were arrested, they took them to Port Harcourt prison. That's the maximum prison they could take them to. That's where I met the IPOB boys. Okay, that's what we call them in prison. They were really not IPOB boys. They were just supporters of the whole Kanu cause. I got to the prison in 2017. I met them all there. We were there since 2016. The Onisha rally. They killed a lot of people there. Amnesty International spoke out. I spoke out. It was a massacre there. And at the end of the day, all these kids from 2016, they're still in the prison. And I'm watching them forgive terrorists, giving them amnesty, training them, but they're not doing it to those so-called other terrorists. What they call terrorists, IBOP, right? Leave Kanu alone. Let him document all his stuff, okay? Let him document all his stuff. He's doing it legally now, taking them to court. And I know it's dragging, but the executive has messed up with the judiciary. Nigeria is a lawless country. That's why President Trump won't see Tinubu. Biden did not want to see Tinubu by the time he was going to leave, and Trump has refused to see Tinubu twice now. They won't tell you in the presidency. The same people working for Tinubu in the presidency were the same people abusing him. Now they're fighting over this Christian persecution pressure. At the end of the day, terrorism is terrorism. Boko Haram is killing everybody, regardless if they're Christian or Muslim, but they are targeting Christians more. You need to know the difference. I'm Dr. Kemi Olunlawyer. All my podcasts are going on, I call them pod videos. They're going on my new podcast page because I'm going to be doing many audio podcasts now. I'm the first podcaster in Nigeria. I started in 2008 on Spotify. I'm going to load my Lekki Tollgate podcast and my Hush Puppy one, 2008 on Spotify and SoundCloud. Got to know that. So stop telling me to start a podcast. I did it before you guys. Remember what I say, stay home, okay?